going on, everybody? This is Mike just checking in with another Nutrition 101, just basics to starting to implement, like if it fits your macros or flexible, just staying within your calories and your macronutrient breakdown. I haven't gone over macronutrients and what that really looks like as far as ranges or, to start off with. In the first video, just talking about the reasons why you start tracking food, some guidelines there, and last video was really talking about BMR and activity multiplier, just to figure out where your baseline should be and really what that looks like for weight loss, body fat loss. But I wanted to make a video as far as strategies, tips that I've picked up along the way with tracking food and making it a little bit more easier, because at the end of the day, that's the reason why I track food, is because it not only just, it doesn't keep me restricted. A lot of times people think like, oh, if I track my foods, it really puts a lot of limitations, a lot of restrictions on what I'm currently doing. And so I look at it like a different way, the opposite. It actually allows me more opportunity for variety. Now that I know, like, oh wow, I'm going to have this for dinner, I'm going to be able to plan around that accordingly with my current macros and whatever's left over. And it just allows more flexibility because I know exactly where my calories are coming from and how to adjust appropriately because I'm tracking my food. So without further ado, I just wanted to make like a intermittent video on strategies on how you can track more accurately and what that really looks like for me personally, and hopefully it can allow you opportunities to track more efficiently and make life a lot more easier in the long run. So first and foremost, you obviously have to get a food scale so that you can track food appropriately. And it's pretty easy. They're about $20 to $30 for a food scale at any like Fred Meyer or Walmart. They're always there within the cooking section. So pick one of those up, because this is going to accurately measure what you're putting into your application where you're tracking your food. Measuring cups, tablespoons and all that jazz, that's great and all, and at the end of the day, that definitely helps in the process. But for me personally, I find it so much more comforting that I can put it in a food scale and weigh it out and know exactly what I'm getting. I'll give you an example. People, they get prepackaged food, the 100-calorie snacks, or they have they have packaged foods like yogurts, Greek yogurts, and they have like one serving size within the little container. I've actually done, what I'm just curious, I weigh it out. I take everything out and put it in, weigh it out, and it actually comes out different from what it says on the packaging. Actually weighs less or weighs more. You actually get more servings in particular items. You tend to get less in certain items. And so for me personally, just to be a little bit more accurate, especially when I'm trying to lose body fat in contest prep mode, I want to know exactly where my calories are coming. That's why a lot of bodybuilders or a lot of athletes, when they're trying to lose body fat, they keep it really simple. And just because they are able to weigh out their foods, they know exactly what they're getting. They don't like to second guess themselves with packaged foods because it gets a little shady when it comes down to the packaging and what it says and what you're getting. So looking at, that's the first step, is getting a food scale, measuring cups and the measuring tablespoons, teaspoons, all that, that's great, but food scale is really where it's at. The second thing is on your phone app. I use MyFitnessPal. This is like one of the best apps out there. Give you an example. I actually got some Quest chips like 2 days after it came out on the market, and it was already loaded into MyFitnessPal when I scanned it, and that's how fast they update their database. They literally have things in there that I would never thought that would have those foods, just because some of them, I love Asian food, and sometimes I just play around with it and see if they have it in there, and for the most part they have a lot of foods that you wouldn't think they would be able to track in there or already have it in their system without adding it yourself. So that's the reason why I use it. But just to go off some things that you can use within MyFitnessPal. Number one, go into the actual website. Don't use the phone app, just go to the website, and you can actually go to the food log portion and go to the preferences and scroll down a little bit, and you can add in up to 6 meals in there. If you just have the downloaded version, you're just gonna get like 4, like the breakfast, lunch, and dinner and snack, but you can actually add in meal 1, meal 2, meal 3, meal 4, meal 5, meal 6, and or depending on how you want to label those. And that way when you open up your phone app, boom, you know exactly what you're getting, every few hours, or every time you eat. So it just allows you more opportunities to separate those meals and snacks. The second thing that you can do in MyFitnessPal that I love is just be able to create meals, create foods, and create recipes. This is the biggest thing, man. Like when I talk to people about food tracking, they're like, oh my gosh, what happens when I cook at home, man? Like, or what happens when I eat? We're creatures of habit. We eat the same thing. Do I have to keep tracking the same, thing every day? So using those actual applications, when you add a food for a particular meal, you can actually, there's different tabs. There's My Foods and My Meals and Recipes. Click on one of those and you can actually add a recipe of what you particularly eat, or add a meal, add a food that typically you might not find. And those are really nice and nifty because you can label them. What I did was I created meals for my contest prep, and I had meal 1, meal 2, meal 3, all the way down, and I also had refeed days, what those meals look like. That way it's quick access, you know exactly where they're coming from, so you can create those within those 3 different tabs. I would say the biggest thing is with meals, that really helped when you have a set day, like you have breakfast. I have a standard breakfast. You can edit on the actual application. You just click on each food item, and then there's 3 options at the bottom. You can click on the meal and you can create it, and that makes life so much easier because this helps out plan out for your week, plan out for your day. Makes tracking so much easier when you have these preset meals or preset recipes, and makes it a lot more doable. So that's what I would recommend doing is, as you're playing around with food tracking, is to really spend some time to put in the recipes or the meals or the snacks, the foods. That way, you can have quick access, track it real efficiently without run into issues. Another thing to do is pre-track. That's one thing that I really do for the week. I think about what foods am I going to eat during the week. I make up my grocery list, and then the day before I look at, I do all my meal prep on like Saturday or Sunday. I do all my cooking, what that really looks like after I feel like what I'm going to have during the week. And then during the day before, I go to my preset meals. I just plan for the next day, and that really helps out with knowing exactly where my food is coming from, knowing exactly what my meal to meal looks like, and even have some backups in the process just in case things go awry. But it's all about planning, guys. That's why tracking is so efficient for me, is that it allows me to know exactly where my food is coming from, and allows me more flexibility, because if something goes awry, I can make quick adjustments to my foods for the day. And so another thing to do is just go ahead and have some options at work, or where you reside the most often. So I got some examples of what I do at work, because sometimes I forget, man. So I tend to have a protein, something that's really protein based, something that has fat in it, and something that has a lot of carbs in it. So just in case, I can combine all of that jazz and make it a lot more easier for me, in the process, just in case I forget. So a couple things that you can have. I've got some oatmeal. So this is from myoatmeal.com, but I tend to have something like this at work because just in case I need some carbs, it's something nice that's going to be filling me up, but I can weigh it out. I know exactly what I'm getting. But this is mostly a carb source. I mean, there's a little bit of protein, a little bit of fat, but at the end of the day, I count it mostly as a carb. And I also have, this is a beastly thing, but I got double fiber English muffins in my drawer at work, just in case that I am running a little low on my fiber, and I know that I'm going to be spending a little bit more time at work some days. I tend to have those just as backup as far as getting enough fiber throughout the day and having something that has substance, outside of what I can get from my oatmeal. The macronutrients are pretty much the same, but also I've got some fat. I got some peanut butter just in case I'm running a little low on fat and I can have quick access to it. I can get a tablespoon here and there, just so that I can have my fat in there. But I typically get some all-natural peanut butter, but it is what it is. I got some regular peanut butter. It's the off season, and I also, even though it's the off season, I still love these rice cakes, man. But they are quick access carbs, and really low in fat, really low in protein. So it's something that's quick and easy, something that I can just munch on, just in case I need some more carbs in my diet. Some protein. So this is just a regular base protein, concentrate and isolate. But basically, I keep a tub of protein, like a small container at work, just so that just in case I'm running a little low on protein, I can have that. I typically don't like getting my protein from protein powders nowadays, just because I've had so much opportunity to increase my protein with regular food that it's just, anyway, so just go ahead. I have this just as a backup at work, just because, hey man, sometimes I just need quick and easy, just through a rough day, or a quick, easy protein source, because I have meetings back to back, and it's so easy just to put that in a shaker body and go to town. But also, I got some pretzel crisp at work sometimes, just because this is variety, man. Like I have Pringles, fat-free Pringles. It's all about just having that variety, but I tend to have a lot of these things in stock at my office just in case things go awry. And I tend to forget things. And I like to not bring a lot of food every day to work with each meal and snack. So I tend to mix and match those things throughout the current week. I also, I have the infamous Pop-Tarts. I got low-fat Pop-Tarts just because I tend to save my fat for the evenings with my wife. But I tend to have these just because, they are lower in fat per pastry, and the carbohydrates, I can fit those in my macros real easy, as far as that's concerned. A lot of the items that I just showed you, though, it's so funny, is that the macro breakdown is pretty much the same. This is what it's all about, variety. And I wouldn't have really known this unless I started doing flexible dieting and really looking at food labels and really comparing what it looks like. I got some Fruit Loops marshmallows at home. I got some Lucky Charms. I got, my Fiber One cereal. All the macros are pretty much the same, so it's pretty interesting, as far as you get more comfortable with tracking your understanding of nutrition and reading food labels, you get more flexibility, more ideas on how you can have variety in your food. And as you create meals, as you create recipes, as you create foods within your phone app, as you're tracking food, it allows you more opportunity to explore that. And so those are just some food items, some things about what you can do, within your realm of control. I have these at home. I have this at work. This allows me opportunity to have backups just in case things go bad. And I just don't, I don't have quick I don't have time to eat my regular food, so I need quick access foods for meetings and back-to-back, teaching opportunities. So that tends to happen. Um, and it allows me opportunities to pre-plan for the day. So number one, food scale, get it. And number two is really start exploring options for at work and really creating those opportunities with your meals, your foods, your snacks within MyFitnessPal or whatever phone app. I'm pretty sure other phone apps allow those opportunities to create and create those meals and snacks and recipes for yourself. But it's really about planning ahead and allowing that opportunity. In my next video, I'm actually going to talk about, I know this is the big one that people are really interested in, is just the macronutrients and what that really looks like as far as percentages or ranges. What should I be doing, specifically around weight loss, body fat loss, from tag teaming what my other videos were about with nutrition. But just take a look at this, and of course if there's any suggestions, comments, questions, leave them in the comments box. I'll go ahead and definitely address those in upcoming videos. But thanks again for checking in. Those are just some tips that I've picked up as far as food tracking is concerned and how I plan ahead. But basically there is one last thing. Sorry. One last thing. When you are going out on a social event, when I track my foods, I find something that's closely related. Don't get so caught up on, oh man, that I can't find it within MyFitnessPal. I can't find the exact item. Find something that's closely related to it, and I tend to overestimate on my calories when I go out. And just because I want to make sure, specifically around fat and carbs, just because I want to make sure that I'm not overdoing it. And so I tend to give myself, a little flexibility within overestimating by about 5 or 10 grams per, thing like fat. If my fat grams is 75 grams for the day, I tend to go about 65. I'm estimating at 65 if I'm going to go out and eat, and especially around family events where I don't know exactly what I'm getting in that realm. And then carbohydrates. That's a variable, so like I tend to be like a 25 gram flexibility within that scope. But it's really about enjoying yourself, guys, and really finding that balance. If you can't find something exactly within your phone app, find something closely related, and as you get more comfortable, you're going to be more familiar with what food is and what's in it, so you can definitely compensate for that. But other than that, stay tuned for another video about food tracking, as far as macronutrients, what that really looks like, what that details look like, so you can start following that, and make adjustments for you specifically. Alright, thanks again, guys. Bye-bye.